Time to take it to the dirt. This is Slingin Dirt, 1 hour of dirt track talk. Now, here are Ashley and David Stremme.
Hey, it's Tuesday, and that leads us into another episode of Slingin Dirt. We're so glad you've tuned us in here on MRN.com. We are going to talk late models and modifieds this week, again, as always.
And what do they call them?
Mud buses.
Mud buses. Big
those are
block
still
cars.
modifieds, just so you know, just in case you weren't aware
I
of
still
that.
feel hungover.
Well, bless. Can I finish my opening?
Sorry.
My God. Hey, I'm so glad to have you back this week, honey. Glad to see you. We've got three great guests joining us today. We have Jonathan Superman Davenport. Of course, if you live under a rock, you wouldn't know who this man is. But he's won everything there is to win this year, and he's added another crown jewel, the World 100, this weekend. He actually swept the crown jewels of Eldora, so he'll join us. And then we have Kyle Strickler. He also picks up, I guess, what you could call a crown jewel in the IMCA series. He is the Super Nationals winner back-to-back 2 years in a row. And last but certainly not least, we have Larry Wight joining us. He picks up his first Super Dirt Car Series win of the year at Race Mania 11 and Autodrome.
And when I mean I was hungover, I'm not talking alcohol, I'm talking sleep.
Well, I don't know about that either, but
No, I didn't do. We only drank one night, and that was it. But
well, we're your hosts, Ashley Stremme, alongside of my husband, who is back this week from the Super Nationals in Boone, Iowa.
Felt
who
like
was
I
out
was,
there for a week.
We went to for a lot of you fans that were following last week, Postman sat in. We went to Fairbury and had engine problems ourselves, and then we shot right over to Boone, and we had a customer. We were taking care of a car, and then Kyle Strickler was in our house car, and never been to Boone. It was for a lot of NASCAR fans. I would compare it to Talladega. I was a little surprised.
The infield, not so much the racing.
Yeah, the infield. The surprise, I would say, atmosphere. They have a Walmart across the street. Haulers are parked in there. They're doing tech over there because they couldn't get them to the tech line because there's so many cars. I think they set a record of 860, 70 cars total that was there. I know there was 248 modifieds. But the thing that was crazy, they let them, I wouldn't say drivers didn't do it, but pit crew fans, whatever, in the pit area, they were drinking. Everybody had a pretty good time. But I will say, I give my hats off to IMCA. There were so many cars, and it was very well organized. It started at 8 in the morning. I know when we got locked in on Wednesday with Jason Bolio, we went 12:30 to the tech, I guess you would say tent, which I thought was awesome because they put on jack stands, checked everything. We didn't leave tech till about 2:45, so it was late nights. But it was really, really cool from a race fan and even watching. There was a lot of racing. But if you spin, they give you a little time. You can either fire your car up, get back going, or if the caution was out, you're off track. So it really gave a lot of motive to continue racing, a lot of clean racing. They just followed through a lot with how their program and basically how they laid a lot out. So it was really a lot of fun. I don't think I'd go back for the whole week. It was a little too much for me, but it was definitely really cool. So
I never thought in a million years I would get a text message from you that says I'm tired of watching racing.
Yeah, we went to bed at 2 in the morning one night, and they were still racing, and I was like, I was done. But as people that follow me on Twitter had seen, there was a big PA speaker right by our hauler, so it was pretty hard to get any sleep. But met a lot of cool people. John Logue, who is a 5-time Boone champion there, or IMCA champion at the Nationals. He filled me in a lot. I really give, and it's phenomenal at how they call it farming, because obviously you use the tractors and the dirt, but when they do the track prep, I timed it. It's 10 minutes. And they turn that track. They do so many things that is, I think, to really help the racer, and it just puts on a great show. They only a few fans or got out of hand. Somebody stole a banner, and they were given a reward for it. But I also like,
we'll have to check in with Brett to see if they actually got the banner.
If they
returned.
found it, it was probably more of the tailgate they stole off the
Sheriff's
officer's truck.
Yeah.
But one last thing about Boone that I thought was really cool. A lot of tracks that could do it. Everybody talks about how expensive grandstands are, bleachers. Around the track, they have a catwalk, and you can just stand on the catwalk, and they have maybe 2-3 levels in certain areas, and especially in the pit area, you go up, you'll watch a little bit, you leave, go walk around. Really, really amazing. I know 141 Speedway in Wisconsin has that, and I thought that was something really cool. But I was keeping up with the World 100 while I was out there talking, texting friends, and obviously there was rain, and it delayed it. But Roger Slack and his guys never cease to amaze me. They've done a phenomenal job. I only got to watch some videos and stuff of the race, and the racing top to bottom. Jonathan comes from 18th to win. You had Brandon Shepard win one of the preliminaries. You had Moyer. Again, I think a lot of people had seen. They definitely didn't write off Jonathan, but they were like, he's not as strong. And then when it comes down to the money time, he
shows up. He
showed up. So it was really neat. I got to give an attaboy to Jared Landers. He run a phenomenal race, led majority of it. You remember back to the spring race of the not the World, the other one. My mind's blank.
Dream.
The Dream race. Sorry, I got too many races going on. But the Dream race, he was very strong there, and obviously Bloomquist, he was there too. But Bobby Pierce, he did an awesome job. He come on, and I think it was funny because his quarter panel's all crushed in, and the way it was bent and had the deck crushed, he could just get that right rear up almost like a sprint car. You know how the tails are real small, and he could get it up on the cushion a little more. But he did a great job, and there were some people that I was a little surprised. Jimmy Owens had a rough weekend. Don O'Neill, a lot of them,
You've given Steve Francis a really hard time this year. And
No.
He parked it in the top 5.
I don't give Steve Francis or Don O'Neill. I give Clint Boyer a hard time. Steve Francis done an awesome job, and you can tell they're working harder and harder. And it's interesting. Josh Richards was on his lid. But Mikey Marler, your buddy.
Yeah, top 10.
He run good again, too. So
he had to transfer through the last B main, I believe.
Yes. There was it amazes me. And again, you go to these big shows, you got to be on your game, and you're not just going to show up there and go, okay, hey, we're going to get better. It was really neat to see the fans turn out, the support they had. Again, Eldora does a wonderful job of keeping the heritage of Eldora, and also helping the racers. Obviously, you see the new infield media center, care center, and stuff. And the fans, were just, everybody I seen, had a great time. So it was really cool weekend up there, and they still have a lot more at Eldora. But it was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually you spoke about sprint cars there a little bit. I actually got to go back home to my favorite racetrack ever, Port Royal Speedway.
Speed Palace.
That's right. And going back there, if you've never been there, you need to put it on your bucket list. It definitely ranks in the top 5 tracks for me, and maybe a little higher up because it is my home track.
Home.
Yeah, but it's got a great facility. Listen, we've been to many dirt tracks that don't even come close to Port Royal Speedway. So, but there is tracks out there like Eldora, Knoxville Nationals, Fairbury that offer some of the same things, and I think Port Royal Speedway does the same as well.
I'll give Port Royal a attaboy. Any track I go to, and it was neat. John Logue, again, he was giving me a lot of history of Boone and everything. I like to see improvements every year, little stuff, and Port Royal's done a phenomenal job. Just like I said, Eldora, they done with the infield center. A lot of tracks that I say stagnant or stay stagnant, and the fans, they just kind of, it's the same thing over and over. It's like a rewind, So, and when you talk about Port, I remember the first time you took me there, I was like, this place is a little sketchy, and I hurt her feelings a little bit.
That's because it's fast.
I hurt her feelings a little bit because I was like, this isn't that great, but they've done a great job. Plus, it was Fair Week, so that's why you got to eat.
It was Fair Week. I got to eat everything and probably watched one of the best sprint car races I have seen in a long time. Awesome show. The late models put on a great show as well. Yoder picked up another win. Just phenomenal. That facility has really impressed me, and the track is. And the modifieds will be going there in October, so we're super excited about that.
With the wing push start cars.
Yeah, the World of Outlaws.
Yep.
They're kind of a big name. You might want to throw that out there.
But this weekend, it's really cool. And I wasn't on a show last week, talk a lot about it, but we went to that Illinois crowd, went up to Fairbury, and again, it doesn't disappoint. The fans were great. The racing was great. Packed the place. We went to Farmer City. Obviously, it got rained out, but those fairground tracks, and we heard a couple weeks ago when you talk about Syracuse coming up, and it's great to see the state behind trying to place that somewhere. But the fairground races are just the outpour it has from the community that support it, and they see it really work for the community with income and doing different things, and entertainment for it is great. And it's cool for me because our fair in Indiana, back home in South Bend where I'm from, they never have any kind of auto racing. And this year, Hoosier Tire took in these micro sprints, and they're like all game for having racing. And again, I think it's just the atmosphere, everything going on. But Fairbury was awesome, and a lot of the fairgrounds up there in the Midwest really put on a good show.
Well, talking about putting on a good show, we have the World 100 winner, Jonathan Davenport, joining us next here on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
It's all over at Martinsville, Virginia. Richard Petty has pulled it off.
Throwback Thursday, classic MRN race broadcast on MRN.com.
Waltrip will win the track race to turn 3. Earnhardt gets him. Hard into the wall goes Waltrip. Hard goes Earnhardt. Everybody else spins either way.
Out of the number 4 corner down to the line. Neil Bonnet is going to win. The Northwestern Bank 400. He'll beat Waltrip a 2-car length.
What a finish here at North Wilkesboro.
Throwback Thursday, Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern on MRN.com. This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
This is Slingin Dirt with the Stremmes. Our guest on the line now has wrote a page in the history books. He's your dream winner and, well, pretty much every other crown jewel winner. And now your World 100 winner. It's Jonathan Davenport. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me back home, Ashley.
Well, we've had you on 3 times now, and all for good reason. We'll talk about the World 100 here in a minute, but I want to ask you if you can put into words what this weekend, what this season, what you and the Rumleys have accomplished this year. I mean, what word comes to mind? Explain to me what goes through your head and how exciting this year has really been for you guys.
It's awful hard to put in words. You know, we just work so hard. We're so determined to run good every place we unload at. You know, we don't really dwell on our wins that much. Just, you know, after the car goes in the trailer that night, you know, we're already thinking about the next place we need to go. But it's been an amazing year so far. We never could have even dreamed that we would be so good throughout the year, from start till now. We had some bad luck to begin with, and we had some mechanical failures, but where we could have had a couple more wins, we feel like. But it's just been amazing, really.
Well, I'm more than happy for you guys because I was following. I think it was Jacqueline or somebody. It might have been yourself. You're like, oh no, when you asked the Ohio State troopers to please forgive the big white hauler going down the road, running late, heading up there. But I know Kevin he had to go to Clemens to get some engine parts. You guys build your own engines. It's a phenomenal story, and the hard work, paying off is the biggest thing because you guys work your tails off. And I don't think people understand still that, everybody wants to talk about the money you've won, this and that, but it's rewarding because of the hard work you do, and then you put it right back into race cars. And people think you have these big budgets, but again, talk about, I think you guys had a new motor, running late to the track, a little bit of that.
Yeah, when we went up for the Dream, Leroy and Kevin wanted to make sure we had a fresh motor, not a new motor. We haven't had a new motor, all year, and I'm not really sure when the last time they actually had a brand new motor. But this one here, this was actually got some, like I said, some heads. This is the first updated motor with updated heads that they've really put together in 3 or 4 years. So they wanted to make sure, we got this thing in. We Kevin's been really excited about it, and they actually didn't get the heads till like Monday, and so they started doing their little tricks to it and everything, and started putting it together. And we didn't get it to the shop till late Wednesday night, and we worked. Of course, me and Brian back at the shop had a couple other guys come over and help us while Kevin and Leroy was back up at their shop building the motor. But we got the cars ready and brought the motor in there, and we worked all night. We didn't even go to bed that night. I think Leroy might have finally laid down about 4 or 5 o'clock that morning, and I know I finally went and laid down about 7 o'clock and woke Brian back up, and they loaded the cars, and then we just took turns driving up the Eldora, so nobody really got any sleep. And we got there, tech closed at 4:30, and we was rolling in the gate at 4:25 and rushing, just barely got the car down to tech in time. And then it was just it was just lucky we even made it there on time, really.
You know what they say, no rest for the wicked.
That's right.
So tell me a little bit about the race this weekend. You started 18th and parked it in Victory Lane. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, we really had a great car all weekend. I was telling some guys there, usually, I think me and McCready was talking, usually qualifying there, you're so tensed up, and you got to try to run wide open. You got to try to make that perfect lap. But now I feel like I go there and I know the racetrack good enough. My car's good enough. I don't really have to push the issue at any time, really. I can just kind of qualify, safe, not try to knock the wall down, keep the spoiler on the car. And then we run our heat race, and, it's all about the invert, where you get inverted at. You just try to be patient. And then, like leading up all the way to, we was good at the features. One Saturday morning, we started 20th and ran 5th within 25 laps on a track that wasn't really that racy on. So we knew we had a really good car. And then we got inverted back to started 5th in our heat race, and got a bad start. A couple of guys. It all depends on how you get off turn 2 that first lap about how you're going to run in the heat race. Just because you get spread out so much, but I got kind of a bad start, and so then I just kind of be patient because the tire rule they got us on now, we wasn't really on the tires we needed to be, and so I knew people would push their tires a little too hard and blister them early, and then they would fade at the end. So I just kind of hung on there and just kept everybody with a safe distance in front of me, and just kind of saved my stuff till like 3 or 4 to go in the heat race, and then I started making my charge just to make sure we got in the main.
That's the thing, when I watch the highlights, and you were just so smart about your race and run your own race. And a lot of times you do see in dirt guys get racing, and especially there's a lot of slide jobs being thrown there. And I watched you, and you were just so smooth and just so like, hey, I know what I have in my car. You drove up through there. What kind of mind focus, does it take? Because I know I talked to Matt there at JRI, and he's like, man, we were slinging shocks right before the race. We're changing. Sounded like the whole crew was nervous, and you're just so calm and so collective. What is a lot of that, that goes on through that race?
Well, that's a big part of it. Now I've got such a good crew with Kevin and Brian, and we had some other help there, and then Matt coming along helps us from JRI shocks that I can focus on what I need to do rather than be 100% in on all the setup stuff and every little thing. And then I get nervous if something ain't exactly right or something because I don't really know about it. And then I know exactly what I need to do. And I know we got a really good car. And, me and Kevin talk back and forth, and I give him my input, what I think, what he thinks, and then we just get a game plan, and they go from there. But, yeah, from the drop of the green flag through 1 and 2, we went through there, and I felt like I was just stuck to the earth, and I could just drive out through the middle of guys, and once that lane got a little slower, I would move to a different lane, and I'd start passing some more cars, and once that, I just kept moving around on the racetrack, depending on how fast I could pass cars or close on them, and about after the first 15, 20 laps, I knew we was going to have a car that could compete for the win.
Hey, I want to talk about something and it's probably more my opinion. And a lot of people know I don't keep my mouth shut very good, but I have a lot of appreciation for what you and Kevin do, because you guys work so hard, and like we were just talking, motors, everything. And you know, there's a lot of other racers that are pretty spun out right now. And I look at, you know, Chris Ferguson set a new track record. He was in a Longhorn. Madden there, your I would call rival. You know, he got a Longhorn. He run very well. But there was some really low-down, dirty stuff that's gone on over the last, I would say, month, where somebody takes a picture and they're doing stuff with your car and all this other. And I don't care what they say. They could, you know, the Longhorn cars, you guys have done your homework. You're running very well. And it doesn't really matter, you know, when I hear you guys and people don't understand, it takes a chemistry. It's just what you said, running a car, doing this. But you guys are very into your race car, into each other, and I just think it's pretty low down that people do stuff like that, because you guys do work hard at what you're doing. You know, is there a lot of talk in the garage and different things going on, or much, or you just kind of put all that aside?
Nah, we just put it all aside. We kind of think it's fun. You know, we try to come up with new ideas and everything to better ourselves. We think it's funny when everybody just wants to, you know, try to, I guess you could say, cheat off our test and, you know, try to look at what we're doing. And, you know, that's understandable. You know, this is all about making money, and this is how most of us make our living. So if we got something a little bit better than they got, sure, they're going to take a peek or whatever. But, yeah, you know, crawling up under your car and jerking shot bags off and taking pictures and whatever, you know, that's just
that's low
what
down.
they want. You know, if that's what they want to do, you know, so be it. We can't stop it. We can only prevent what we can, but other than that, that's all we can do.
Well, the thing is, they don't have a Kevin Rumley and they don't have Jonathan Davenport, so that's what I tell people. It takes people and working together. It's not just one person or one thing that does it. It's everything together.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, Kevin's definitely one of the smartest guys in the pit area, and you know, like I told him, you know, there's some other questions been made about, you know, those pictures going around. I said, well, you know, they ain't never gonna figure it out because they don't have Kevin Rumley. I mean, yeah. I see that stuff every day in the shop when I'm there, and I still don't know exactly what everything is.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand. It's a, you know,
he's a mad scientist.
Even you look at other people's cars, or everybody drives different. You know, I still, when I see stuff, I go, and I said it, 2 months ago, these guys have the chemistry together. You know, I watched you run. You run such a smart race the other night at Eldora. Like, I mean, I was teasing. I tweeted Jacqueline. I was like, hey, you know, give Jonathan another Red Bull in the morning because you weren't used to being up that early, you know, just kind of messing around. And I remember last year you had a super fast car, and you know, you're racing hard, and you know Neil get together. But it's like you're such a smarter racer, and I think it's the environment. You know, like you said, you're able to concentrate on what you're doing, and people don't understand that. It's phenomenal at what you guys are doing and really executing on the results.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I've just always been a driver to where I thought if somebody else was going faster than me, I thought I should be able to go that fast. So then, you know, I used to push myself up in my equipment, you know, probably a little bit too hard, but you know, I don't like running second. I don't like losing to anybody. So I thought if they can go that fast, I can too, or I was going to try to find a way to go that fast. But now we've got all of our stuff together, and we have a good enough car where I don't have to do that anymore.
Well, I think too, you got equipment that'll hold up to putting it to the test. You know, that's why I had a guy tell me one time, like, oh, you're too hard. They're like, well, we just got to build it stronger so we can keep running that pace. And speaking of the pace, that was a fast pace, fast. I mean, them guys were getting it for 100 laps, you guys were.
Yeah, really. You know, Hoosier Tire, they really stepped their program up the past couple of years. I think that's what changed the racing the most is, you know, we used to, you know, run hard for 5 or 10, 15 laps, and then we would get to a rhythm and just kind of ride and save the edges on our tires and, then we would race the last 10, 15 laps. But now you can, you can't go 110% for 100 laps, but you can definitely go 90. And just as long as your car's good enough, you ain't sliding it around, you'll still have, some good edges on your tires. We've really learned a lot on how to cut them up and everything to be able to last, and also be able to fire back up, not seal off on under cautions and things. So it's just us learning the tires, and Hoosier making a great product.
Well, hey, I only have one request. Can we please work on your celebration at the end when you're in victory lane? You are I just want you to scream one time, just one time. When you win a race like this, you are it's cool because you're humble about it, and I appreciate that. But I want to see just a little bit more excitement out of Jonathan Davenport.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. I just know where I've come from, and I'm just amazed at myself of what I'm doing, really. But, I just try and never let the highs get too high and the lows get too low. So this is one of the most humbling sports I've ever been in, for sure. I mean, we could, we win the world this week and not even hardly make the race at Brownstown next week. So I just try to give all my competitors the respect that I want, and try not to boast or brag too much. But it's definitely just been a dream season for us.
Well, it's
awesome.
You deserve it, bud. And again, I thought your celebration was great. Got out, hugged the world. He was, like you said, where you come from. You know what you're doing. You just keep winning races, and you guys keep working hard there. And
we're gonna keep watching you write history this year.
Yes.
I sure hope so. Maybe I can keep coming on here and talking to y'all. It's always a good time.
Awesome.
Well, anytime.
Well, we love having you, and congratulations on an awesome win, a great season, and thanks for being on Slingin Dirt today. We appreciate it.
I definitely appreciate it, and congrats to you and Kyle there for all your chassis stuff on winning the boom this weekend. That's awesome too, also.
Well, thank you. Hey, soon as real quick, I know we've talked about getting into modified. I have a second one built. I've just had some terrible engine luck lately, and we're getting them all built up, and I'll holler at you, and we'll do something. So just go have some good time. But thanks for being on the show here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a good day.
I love that guy.
I'm telling you, people.
Mellow.
It kind of pissed me off when all them pictures, and I was at Boone.
Hey, you'll have that in big time auto racing.
Yeah, but I was at Boone, and somebody comes up, and they're like, it's like our cars. We had a really good Boone Nationals, and people are coming. I'm like, look, we work hard. We're here. I seen guys. They wouldn't wake up till 7 in the morning, or excuse me, go to bed till 7 in the morning. But anyways, they do a great job. They work hard, and they do deserve them wins.
Well, and everybody has a different feel for what they want. So no matter what, even if they do figure out what they're doing, it's not necessarily going to work for them. But speaking of the Boone Nationals, we have the back-to-back winner coming up next with Kyle Strickland on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Buckle up, NASCAR Nation, for the ultimate driver tell-all. NASCAR After the Lap, sponsored by Ford and Sprint, is back for a 7th year in Vegas. See the 16 challengers in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup live on stage at the Palms in Las Vegas, December 3rd. Don't miss this unforgettable must-see event of the year. Visit NASCARAfterTheLap.com to purchase tickets. That's NASCARAfterTheLap.com.
Join the Motor Racing Network this Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. Your host, Eli Gold, along with weekly guests, tackle the latest storylines with our NASCAR Live Fast Forum.
Oh, I totally disagree with Ricky on that. I think the test...
We've got your favorite drivers one-on-one.
I think everybody was more stressed out going into Phoenix just because you knew that...
It's NASCAR Live this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt. We're your hosts, Ashley and David Stremme. Joining us now, he was the defending, and now he is the repeat IMCA Boone Super Nationals winner. It's Kyle Strickler. Welcome to the show, Kyle.
How's it going?
It is going well, and it's going really good for you. Before we get to talking about the race, I want to ask you, you've put yourself in the history books as the third driver to repeat back-to-back Super National wins. You've won several big races in your lifetime. Where does that amount to the wins that you've won?
Super Nationals is such a huge deal for me, and to win it back-to-back, I mean, things have changed so much over the years. To be the latest guy to do it, it's so much harder nowadays, I think, to win that deal, and to win it back-to-back is, I don't know if it'll happen again. So I just want to come back and win it again next year, and we'll be the first guy to do it 3 times. But it's definitely my career highlight, and the amount of people that know it and the recognition that it gets, there's nothing else in the world like it.
You know, and you kept telling me, you're like, oh, wait for Boone Speedway, Nationals, and it lived up to what you'd said. There was a lot of cars. I mean, great competitors. They had, Dylan Smith was right there with you. You had Grabowski, Jeff Taylor, all these guys that, we see win all over. But I also heard a lot of people, hey, the track's different. Oh, they didn't put the wood chips in. They didn't do this. And to keep up with it, and obviously you don't run the IMCA car a lot, was there, it's hard to stay up on it. What were some of the difficulties, compared to last year to this year?
Well, you're 100% right with that. What they do is they'll put wood chips in it throughout the season, and that really changes how the racetrack holds moisture and how fast it slicks off. So obviously I was using my connections out here and all my friends that race at Boone weekly to kind of keep an eye on how much they were putting wood chips on how much wood chips they're putting in the track. And I was actually a little worried this year with taking the crate motor out because they didn't put wood chips in it as much as they normally do. But the number of cars that are on the racetrack during that week, you definitely need a crate motor. And the way they do the farming sessions is it's an art, and you really got to pay attention. And I had one of the crew guys that was going up and watching every farm session just to make sure they were still putting the same amount of water on it or where they were farming. And the hardest part about that deal is trying to get into the heat race because, if you draw bad and don't get a good draw, it's really hard to come from the back to win the heat race to get in the limited number of laps that they have. So luckily we got a good front row draw in a heat the second day, and after we got her in there, we definitely had the car to get into the qualifying feature and win that, and then start second row and move forward. The car was very maneuverable, and we just needed some time for the racetrack to burn up and get slick. So it's there's nothing else like it, and like I told you when you went out there, it's definitely a spectacle to go out there and be a part of it and see something like that, because just with the sheer number of cars that you're racing against is it's crazy.
It was pretty crazy with and I was telling Ashley about the T-shirt sales. We heard or anybody on your Facebook page had seen it, and I didn't really know. I was like, all right, I know dirt fans and they love their T-shirts. And it was really interesting to see, especially later in the week, fans coming in, and there's more and more people, and it's almost like kind of like a NASCAR race where everybody's wearing their favorite driver shirts. But I know you and Jimmy Gustin got I think it is Jimmy, right?
Yep.
All right. I forget because there's so many Gustins there. But you have a big T-shirt rival. He's trying to sell, you're selling, and it obviously had to help your sales with the win. But where'd you end up for T-shirt sales over the week?
I think we ended up with bringing almost $12,000 in, but that was also the winning money. The winning money that we got too. We had all our cash together, so I think that probably
you just did good.
I said like $9,000. It's probably about somewhere around $3,000 that we brought in cash, and then there's all kinds of bonuses and everything you get later down the road. But there's a line at the trailer, and Jimmy told me he made $7,800 profit. So I told him, like my boss and I told him, I said, send me a deposit slip because I want to see the numbers.
Yeah. Well, I know it was interesting because the T-shirt sales were just nuts. So.
Well, you talk about you had the winnings in there, and I did see that there was only $3,300 written on your check. I've got to ask because, we see these big races all across the country, 10 grand to win, whatever. Why is this race so prestigious, even though I know it pays with contingencies and that kind of thing, and it pays well on back through the field, but what makes this race so prestigious?
Well, I think a lot of it is the contingency stuff, too, because after you win, the car is just absolutely loaded down with parts and pieces and all kinds of stuff that's very usable to the racer. So many times you'll have a driver or a race team, they'll go out and win a big race, and then they just spend that money or blow it on something that's not racing related, or they don't invest the money back into the race, to their racing team or the racing world. So it's very blue collar. So that's why they get the cars to come out that they do, because the average Joe plumber or whatever that has a race car can come out and feel like he has a shot to race against the big dogs that are doing it for a living and tackle very hard. And so it's their whole deal is trying to even the field up. They're extremely hard on the big time guys that are doing it for a living, and they're way more lenient on the guys that don't have the resources that a team like we do. So it's just really what's working right now. A lot of the other series are struggling for car count, and they just set the record this year for highest number of cars since Supernational started. So obviously what they got going is working, and it's crazy. I don't know what really makes it so big and so publicly recognized, but you'll have people that aren't even there or aren't even in the same kind of racing division, or even, I have NASCAR people or whatever, they'll just text me or call me and they know about it. So it's, like I said, there's nothing else like it.
Well, and you talk about, and for me, taking it in, it explained a lot more. I was trying to explain to her the whole situation of the races to get in to the main event were just phenomenal. They were dogfights because it was $1,000 just to start, which was it's good money. Mm-hmm. But you got guys like Ricky Thornton Jr. He was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, he was racing in Arizona, drove, I think it was just him and his wife or girlfriend, drove to the track. They had their little trailer, raced, the rest of the week at Boone. They definitely try to look out for the whole racer in general.
Yeah, and Ricky, he does a great job. And you're right, he got a little open trailer, and he goes and he gets it done with what he's got. And they just make it very easy for the guy that works all week or whatever, and then he can put his modified on the trailer and drive a few hours or wherever they're from and come in there and go racing. And it's just kind of the way that they're perceived from all the racers is very helpful. That you don't have a big time series or whatever where you're going to the track knowing that somebody's got a ton of engineering and a ton of money and other stuff that allows them to have a huge advantage before they get to the racetrack. So it really works out. Plus you have all the other divisions that are working their way up through, but still it's they had almost 200 sport mods and they have almost 300 A mods. So your highest numbers are still in the top division. So people really aren't getting out moneyed. And, racing is expensive no matter what you do, but they do a really good job of keeping the cost somewhat grounded and making it so people can go out to the racetrack and have fun and enjoy themselves. That's why they call it the racing vacation, because so many people will just all year long they wait for that. They got to circle on their calendar and they're going no matter what. So
that's awesome.
So what's I know when we were out there, you're like, well, I might go to Deer Creek, I might go to Spoon River, I might go to Marshalltown. Have you decided what your plans are for this weekend?
Yeah, I think we're going to go to Marshalltown this weekend because we're going to go to Spoon River. We'd come all the way back home, and then it's 20 hours from Mooresville to Deer Creek. So the plan is to go to Morristown this weekend and see how we end up with this open motor 10,000 to win World Nationals, and then come back here to Boone, and then it's only 6 hours from Boone to Deer Creek. So the USMTS stuff and the USRA stuff is something that I've always wanted to do, but it's just it's so much different, and those guys are very competitive. So I go see how the Super National Champion matches up against them guys, and that's something that they really want to see too, because it brings in publicity for their stuff, and so we'll go up there and give it a shot, I think.
So the rivalry will continue in another format.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations in writing history this weekend, back-to-back, third driver ever to ever do that, and we appreciate you being on the show today.
Yep, thank you. You guys have fun.
Hey, you make sure John Logue, you keep him in line out there for me, and tell him thank you again for all the history and just telling me about the whole Boone week and filling me in there.
Yeah, absolutely. He enjoyed it, and he really likes you, and we're actually having a big Iowa cook-off today. So John's cooking all the crew guys dinner, and they're going to have a bunch of guys come over, and we'll have a good time. And the people out here are very hospitable. That's for sure.
All right. Hey, have fun, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
It was, and real quick before we go to break, he did hit on, and it's hard when you go, oh, well, it only paid $3,300, or they reward. IMCA does do a really good thing. We were in tech for 2.5 hours. Never, I'd run a series majority of the races this year, and we weren't in tech all year at that amount. So the racer, and they're standing around the tent, and they're watching you. You put your car in jack stands, 20 guys, tech guys going through it. Very fair. I felt like, there at least they're checking everything.
Mm-hmm. Safety equipment as well.
Safety, they went through the pre-tech. They do so much, and I think that's the thing. It's hard because I didn't really know a lot about IMCA, and we went out there, and I was like, it is really cool. I mean, for a guy that works a job, wants to go race on the weekend, be competitive, and still be very affordable. They did a great job, and my hat's off to them. They really got it going on a lot of stuff.
Well, speaking of a great job, we will speak to Larry Wight up next here on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
It's a crazy place. It's easy to get lost out there.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
Wonder Woman at the front of the field, Danica Patrick.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
I can whistle out and in. Wait, nope, failed. Sorry.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back. We're the Stremmes, and you're listening to Slingin Dirt. With us now, he picks up his first Super Dirt Car Series win for this year. It's Race Mania 11. It's Larry Wight. Welcome to the show, Larry.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on your win this weekend. I know you started up front, but I heard it was a heck of a show put on with you and Mr. Brett Hearn.
Yeah, we had a really good car throughout the night. We were able to break the track record, get quick time, and draw the pole. And after our heat win, it was just a night of everything going right.
Well, I mean, you must have been doing something right to beat Brett Hearn and break the track record. That's amazing. What do you give all the credit for? I mean, have you changed, get a new chassis, you go do different setup, or was there anything different?
This year we went to the TO Pro Car chassis, and it was kind of an experimental year, and it's actually been our best year. We've got 14 wins on the season, and we've been working real close with Dave Reedy with Penske Shocks, and we've really got this car dialed in towards the end of the year when all these big shows are coming up, and you know, hats off to our engine department, LJL Kevlar Engines. They're giving us the most power out of anybody to be able to go and break these track records like we can.
Well, you're in the Gypsum Express. That's a name that's well known in the big block world. You've got guys like Decker, Ward, and O'Brien that you're working with. What's it like being part of a 3 or 4 car team and having influence from them, as you being the youngest driver on board there?
Oh, it definitely helped me over the last 7 years of just developing and trying to find my own niche in the sport, and having those guys to bounce ideas off and to find out if I'm heading in the right direction or if I need to take a 180 and get back to basics. And over the past couple of years, I've been able to break out on my own and run my own chassis and play with some suspension stuff that we've been testing, and finally we were able to implement it.
So with that being said, with chassis stuff, do you share with those other guys?
Yeah, it's an open book between all of us. I'm the only one that's on the TO car. Pat and Billy that work out of the same shop as me are both in the Bicknell warehouse. So with that, it's I'm kind of in my own little corner as far as some of the changes, but as far as the modified as a whole, everything comes right back to the same basic setup, and it's just the additional adjustments I can make at the track for my own driving style.
So, it's a mandatory question coming up until the race is over. You got Syracuse coming up, and I know all the big block guys are always looking forward to the dirt week there with not just Syracuse, but all the other tracks they go to. What kind of different preparations are you doing, for that up-and-coming week?
Well, we're putting a new TO car together right now for the big block race, and we'll also have our other cars ready for the night shows. So we'll be running, I believe it's 7 modified races in that 7-day stretch, and then also 2 360 sprint races. So it's trying to just get all our ducks in a row, make sure the tires, spare car, spare motors, everything is in line. If we need it, it's ready to go, and we don't have to waste much time trying to get stuff ready.
I love that you mentioned the 360 sprint car. I've seen that you've been running one at Utica Rome a lot this year.
Time out.
What?
This ain't Wing Nation.
It's not Wing Nation.
We're not
talking
about push start
sprint
cars.
Just real quick.
Oh, man.
So you're behind a sprint car. First of all, tell me what that's like. Is that ultimately where your goal is to be racing, or is it with the big blocks? And how relatable are the two?
My goal is to stick with the big blocks.
That a boy.
That's what I grew up doing, and it's in my heart, my heart and blood and sweat. That's big block is everything around here. The sprint cars are a fun transition. It's kind of a way for us to go out and relax a little bit. In the driving style of them, it's really not that big of a difference, I don't feel, because we sit in the center of the car, same style steering box. The comfort in them is pretty similar to a big block. It's just instead of laying over on the right side of the car, the wing's pushing us to the left. And with the tracks up here, being that they get very slick and dry, the modified aspect of it helps me get a little bit of an upper hand on a lot of the guys that run the PA tracks where they're used to the heavy, wide open circumstances.
Well, that's awesome. I know. I was just joking about the sprint car because I love watching them, and my wife's, she grew up in sprint cars. But when you talk about the dirt and all the stuff up there with the big block cars, do you look forward to the World Finals coming up towards the end of the year? I mean, that's another big race. The dirt's different. What kind of stuff do you take coming down here?
Down there, we actually use a lot of what we learn in February at the Volusia Speedway. tracks seem to race a lot similar. It's kind of something far from anything we're used to up here as far as the red clay and just the overall speed of that track and the shape of it. We definitely look forward to going down there to try and show the world what a Northeast Big Block Modified is. You know, we get that misconception of a modified when people compare us to the IMCAs, and you know, it's a whole different animal that we got. You know, we're in our own world, being that we're the only people even using a big block other than drag racing. So it's nice for us to be able to go down there and show everybody what we're made of.
Yeah, you guys put on one of the best shows at World Finals and do a great job at that. But the when you talk about Volusia and the World Finals there, you know, with Syracuse and then this being the last race, what have you heard on where they're going to move it, or where would your preference be to try to, you know, keep the heritage going and keep that big nostalgia race?
I've heard we've heard quite a few places, like the Rolling Wheels Raceway and possibly the new racetrack going next to the Brewerton Speedway, Glen Donnelly's. And I think the biggest thing that needs to be upheld is that it's a track that's raced at once a year, so nobody has the advantage. You know, to keep it a guessing game of who's going to have the upper hand. You know, is it going to be someone that's raced there for the past 30 years, but it's only been once a year, or is it, you know, the young guy that comes in that's never been there? I think just keeping it a one-race track is definitely going to keep the competition higher than most tracks, and we'd really like to try and see it, say, in the central New York area, just because that's where it was built, and there's a lot of businesses around here that rely on Super Dirt Week as far as hotels and restaurants. You know, that's kind of a time of the year where they can get that little extra bonus going into the winter.
Well, I know that you're racing sprint cars, you're racing big block mods. I also believe you're going to college. Is that correct?
Yep. I'm in my last semester of college at Oswego State right now. Well, and then on the top of that, I'm working at the company, or my dad owns Express, and then when I'm not doing that, trying to build a house for me and my fiance.
Wow, he has a plate full there.
No doubt.
Fiance, so is the wedding going to be during race season or after?
No, we thought ahead. We planned it for the week after Volusia.
That's
February
awesome.
27th.
See, a smart man there. There's another big block guy I know that's getting married, and he decided to do it during speed weeks. And I'm like, how does that work out? You know, I mean, a racer knows the schedule, and they gotta plan it. So, and obviously, she's very understanding of that. You just got to have the right honeymoon.
Oh yeah. She grew up at the races.
Perfect.
You know, she was a 50-50 girl for 8 years, and now she's in the office at my parents' track helping us on that. So she's definitely all in with it.
So how'd you pick her up? I want to know this.
Oh,
50-50 girl, you're at the racetrack. How many tickets you have to buy?
Not too many, actually. It's funny. Her little sister is the one that had the crush on me. So she had to bring her up to get my autograph, and we got talking. And I mean, this was 7 years ago. I was 15 racing a small block modified.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
So it just worked out good.
Well, we appreciate you being on the show here, and we're going to look forward to, obviously, Syracuse coming up and the rest of your season, and look forward to seeing you here at the World Finals, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It was awesome. It's it's really cool to listen to him, talk about his teammates, runs a different chassis, and then going to school and just everything. He's a really, really good guy. I never even knew him till the show today, so I'm going to definitely follow him.
We'll break you into the mud bus world eventually, as you would like to call it.
For our fans, understand, I'm just joking about the push start cars. A lot of people like it.
Although he doesn't like it when he's called an E-mod.
Yeah, I don't like to be called E-mod.
He hates being called an E-mod driver.
I was waiting for Larry to say that. But anyways, we got to take a break.
do we? We don't want to talk about that anymore.
I'm going to let
huh?
you go into the break.
I love it. Anyhow, we'll be back with more Slingin Dirt here on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Whether you long to see the majestic Rocky Mountains or the warm sandy beaches of Florida, get there in a Tom Johnson Camping World RV, the nation's #1 rated RV dealer. Tom Johnson's service and selection are second to none, with one of the largest inventories in the country, from pop-ups to motorhomes. Check out the RV of your dreams wherever you are at TomJohnsonCamping.com or visit our locations by the Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Stay up to date with the latest news from the NASCAR Garage weekdays on NASCAR Today, midday.
A lot of things that are happening that I believe will definitely be better, but everybody's going to get better. This is a constantly evolving sport.
Hear from the drivers and teams as they chase the 2015 championship trophy.
I'm not looking back at all. I'm looking forward, and I'm focused on what we've got coming up.
NASCAR Today, midday on the Motor Racing Network, your source for the latest NASCAR news and information.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back for the microphone. Sorry.
I know you're cutting me off, too. Where I'm breaking, she's giving me hell about
this
stuff.
show. Oh, my goodness. Love it. We just are sad that you can't see the breaks. Even our producer, Craig, back there mashing buttons, even enjoys us during the
Hey,
breaks.
so anyways, you're like, oh, you ain't got nothing to talk about. We have a lot to talk about still.
You always have something to talk about.
There's a lot of racing still going on. And I know this weekend, the Gundakers over at Tri-City Raceway or at Granite City.
Hey, do you think maybe you could take me there? Because all I've ever heard about is the Gundakers.
I did take you there.
No, you haven't.
We went there after Macon Speedway last year.
No.
Yes, we did. So anyways, they do a great job. They have a big race for 3 nights, pay really good. They have tons of racing. Really, really good show there. Portsmouth's coming up. They have the world.
A few weeks away.
Yeah, but it pays $100,000 to win. They'll have super late models, modifieds, everything else. I'm just looking at the schedule. And
that's 4 weeks from now. You do realize.
I don't care. I'm trying to plan out. People can get their vacations.
You don't plan anything, okay?
Yes. Deer Creek, as they said, coming up. Spoon River.
Hey, this weekend, Grandview has their Freedom 76 race.
And I don't think, you know what, now I think about it, I don't think Gundakers races until next week. But anyways, check it out. There's a lot of racing going on and big specials. Get your RV. You go to the racetrack, hang out, have a few beers, go visit, with some other race fans or racers. And
tweet us.
The weather's
at
getting
Slingin
great.
Dirt.
Yeah, I want to see some pictures, too.
Super Dirt Car Series Duel at the Demon Weekend at Brewerton, Lucas, 36th Annual Jackson 100. World of Outlaw Kaiser Manufacturing Down and Dirty. You forgot about that one.
Yes. Hang on. And at Grand Rapids Speedway at Berlin, it's asphalt all year. They put dirt on it, and hopefully they'll leave the dirt one year. But
anyhow, Wing Nation up next with Posty and Kendra. Thanks for joining us today here on Slingin Dirt. You can find us in the Media Center at MRN.com, on iTunes, and at Race Day Nation on the iHeartRadio app.
This has been Slingin Dirt with Ashley and David Stremme. Listen every Tuesday at 11 Eastern on MRN.com for more news, interviews, and opinion from dirt tracks all over America. Slingin Dirt is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.